Okay, good morning. In disaster management, today we are going to do is rehabilitation. What is rehabilitation? Let's try to understand what is a rehabilitation. So, in a disaster management, as a disaster management cycle, we have the factors that affect disaster is the host factor and the environment. In the host factor, the age. This then the resilience, the degree of mortality, mobile, and the vulnerability of that host are one of the factors or in disaster of losses. Similarly, in environmental factors, we will have physical, chemical, biological, social, and psychological factors which affect as a disaster, right? So when we are talking about disaster management cycle, it starts with preparation, mitigation, then preparedness, response, recovery, and rehabilitation. In recovery phase only, we have rehabilitation, which is of short term and long term. Rehabilitation is more of a long term process. Okay, so the effect of disaster is that the population which are displaced, injuries, risk of diseases, damage to infrastructures, psychological problems, food shortage, economic losses, shortage of medical supplies are the effects of disaster, and it has to be addressed first. So in response, we address with these issues whatever type of you come across the disaster, we address these issues. Now, as in case of India, we know that India is vulnerable to very for a very degree of disasters, like taking from earthquake, we are 57% prone to earthquakes, 68% to drought, 12% to vulnerable towards floods, and 8% vulnerable towards cyclones. So, as part of natural disasters, some of these disasters uh, are also resulting some threats to chemical and industrial uh, disasters, because we have many large cities which contributes to our economic development. So when these disasters hit in these areas, that will also contribute to a large number of losses, because the larger the urban sectors are, the more the vulnerability of the people of those urban areas will be. Now, the principle of our disaster management is that basically it is comprehensive disaster management, and consider to take into all hazard accounts and at all phases that impacts the losses. So then we have progressive, that is anticipating the future disaster and take up preventive and proper measures to mitigate the losses. Then you have risk driven management, that is use this sound risk management principles, that is hazard identification, risk analysis, impact analysis in assessing the priorities and resources, right? So then we have to integrate everything. That means you have to ensure the units and effects of various departments and other stakeholders to participate in reducing the losses, right? Then we have collective collaborative actions that creates and sustain both and certain relation among the individual and organization. So then we have coordinated or synchronized activities by various stakeholders, flexibility of the planning, and professionals to be involved in these organizations, right? So in disaster management cycle, we are talking about disaster response. We are talking about rehabilitation, reconstruction, which is part of recovery phase. And where we are talking about disaster risk reduction phase, that is how we can reduce the disaster. That is, we are talking about mitigation and preparedness. So in both the phases, like two phases, recovery first is mitigation phase, the risk reduction phase, and then the recovery phase in case that happens. how the disaster response will be acted, how rehabilitation and reconstruction processes will be working and enacted will be taken in consideration. So the impact and the response of the disaster is like when a great need of emergency care within the first few hours is required, and what type of assistance it requires, that shows the intensity of the losses or the disaster. Where in the first response activities, we will indulge into search and rescue operations, first aids, field care, that giving the victims the first uh, shelter points, triaging, tagging, and then identifying the morbid sectors. Right, that is part of rescue fields. Right. Disaster relief response and rehabilitation takes uh, relief phase as a beginning, when the assistance from outside areas are reaching the disaster sites, and the relief supplies are determined by the two factors that are basically a type of disaster which is there, and availability of the local supplies. Okay. So, rehabilitation in rehabilitation phase, it starts from the moment the disaster strikes and ends with the restoration of the normalcy of the community or the victims. Okay. So like we are talking about water supply, food supply, the basic sanitation and personal hygiene, vector control, power supply, all these are be essential services to get the life into normalcy. So rehabilitation is a treatment designed to facilitate the process of recovery from the injuries and illness or disease, or or losses, to get the normal condition as possible. Okay. So by WHO, it defines rehabilitation as it combines and coordinates the use of medical, social, educational, vocational measures for training the individual to the highest level of functional abilities. So, as per the definition of WHO, what they are talking about rehabilitation, it not only is individual level, at a community level also. It needs coordination from medical services, social services, educational institution, vocational availability of vocational services, training the individual to function and get back to normalcy. So the principle of rehabilitation is that uh, one should begin during the initial impact with the victims or the patients. The emphasis of rehabilitation is to restore the victims or impatient in an independence or a pre-illness or a pre-injury of a function in a short period of time. So it is basically it emphasizing that whoever the victim is, how they were functioning before this becoming a victim of the, disaster, how they were functioning. It the aim is to get them back to that level. All right. Then he must act as a a participant. So there not only community, the individual level also, the person should be participating into the rehabilitation process very actively to get the life into normalcy. The basic principle again is there to motivate the victims and help them to attain the social independence and thrust back into the social fabrics. The focus is on needs of group of people with specific conditions, and every patient or every individual has the right to rehabilitation services. Right. So let's talking about again rehabilitation. When we are talking about rehabilitation, going back to individual or a community or a victim level, everybody has the right to get their life into normalcy. Right. For that, you must be all the stakeholders, all the as an individual, as a community, and as a a support giver, you must first of all see that which are the group of people who have specific needs or conditions, like women, children, mentally disabled people or physically disabled people, and old. They are this specific group that needs specific assistance to start and rehabilitate themselves after the mark of a disaster. It motivates the patient and helps him to attain a social independence. Okay, so we need to have motivate the community and the victims to help the person attain a social independence, and again believing into social fabric. Because when a disaster strike, there is always a harm to us, the trust in the social fabric. So we have to re-establish the trust in the social fabric. Okay, it again emphasizes on restoring the independence of the pre losses that a victim has faced. So victim has to have trust in the losses that they have endured, and what they were earlier feeling. So it can be included, like really it can start from relief phase itself, like critical health supplies and casualties can be uh, being more important to address. Food, the basic amenities like food, shelter, clothing, sanitation, that assistance will provide some back foot or some a push to get that person into normalcy. The measures are basically to prevent the communicable again then communicable disease, like what I've said ki, they can, when after the mark of a disaster, there will be always a chance of many communicable diseases arising, like waterborne diseases, taken from dengue, malaria, cholera, typhoid. All these will be waterborne diseases, that other communicable diseases can also arise through the aftermath of the disaster. So that measures will also that measures has to be taken up by sanitation departments, like municipal corporations can, community can take in the role of removing the dead bodies, and the and taking care of the sanitation of that region, right? Then food and shelter can be addressed by various government agencies, as well as in coordination with you can have in coordination with NGOs and other community level actors to provide the assistance. That is critical health supplies can also be re-established by the health centers, whether it is private or government oriented health services, and reducing the number of casualties. Okay, so when we are talking, since the taking up from the response phase, epidemiology, surveillance, nutrition, and evacuation activities are one of the backbone sectors of rehabilitation, which gives a front footing to rehabilitate the entire community or the victims. Like surveillance and early warning system will give rapid detection of cases of endemic prone diseases, and it can and then how what are the techniques that can be used to reduce it. Okay, so similarly, when we have communicable diseases can be again addressed by when it suppose there is an eruption of communicable diseases, then health sectors can provide of building up a proper resilient health sectors can be beneficial for the people who are coming, who maybe have been survived the disaster, but are falling victims of the secondary effect of the disaster. So that becoming a challenge, and addressing to you can help them in recover through that point. Okay, so Now, let's talk about what happens in disasters is not only human aspects which is at loss. There are many uh, environmental destruction which happens, which increases furthermore risk of for the community to fall victims of diseases and other related disaster like flood. Flood on a hilly terrain can trigger landslides of mass wasting. That will again have another secondary effect on the losses of the people around that region, right? Population density, the more the population density is there, the shortage, the chance of shortage of food will be always lurking in that region, right? uh, and so the medical facility, and so the containment of the disease, eruption of the communicable diseases will also be turn out to be a great challenge in the areas with high density of population. Public health services will also be interrupted if you have a high density of population and unaware populations in those regions. Now, principle of preventing and these areas are that you must implement the measures in beforehand, and then a quick action plan can also be taken up, right? So when we are talking about relief, providing relief, in terms of medicine, in terms of food, must understand that relief and rehabilitation comes immediately after the disaster state. So the basic difference between them is that relief relates to the immediate, day and week. Within the day and week, it is a short term activity response. The disaster attempts are made to provide basic needs of the victims, and rehabilitation relates to the work undertaken in the upcoming following weeks and months to restore the basic services to enable the population to return back to normalcy, right? So now let's talk about various types of rehabilitation. Various types of rehabilitations are medical rehabilitation, social rehabilitation, psychological rehabilitation, and vocational rehabilitation. Medical rehabilitation, in the sense, those victims who have got gravely injured or severely injured, they are trying to recover from the injuries. Social rehabilitation, like social acceptance and restoration of the social trust relationship back into the normalcy, that is social rehabilitation. And then we have psychological rehabilitation. So the victims, when they are stuck in disaster situation, they will always be prey to psychological losses. They will suffer with PTSD, that is post traumatic syndrome. They will have and this post traumatic syndrome can vary from a mild degree of irritation and agitation among the victim to a very very high degree of clinical explanation of PTSD, where people can person can be very violent and unconsolable or uncontrollable in that situation. Okay, so that is psychological. We need to address them into step by step. So there is a guidelines to psychologically addressing these victims into coming back into normalcy. Vocational rehabilitation are basically providing the community and the individual or the patient to find unemployment post the traumatic syndrome that has happened. Okay, so that is various types of rehabilitation. Now, rehabilitation of the essential services like water supply. So survey of all public water supplies to be are to be made by the post disaster situations. Now, priorities are to ensure water quality by uh, chlorinating it, the water, so that there is no more more water infection which is there. Increase the residual chlorine level to have to about 0.2 to 0.5 milligram per liter. And existing the new water resources requires the following checkup, that is the restrict the access to the people and the animal in the of the water holes. Ensure extra disposal at a safe distance from the water source. Prohibit water washing methods. Okay, so then propagate well to ensure that they cannot be contaminated. And estimate the maximum yield of wells. Increase the emergency water, that to increase the emergency water supply by water tankers and trucks to disaster sites and camps. Okay, then talking about food supply, like poor hygiene in major is a major cause of foodborne diseases. Rotten food or food which is not hygienically prepared can again cause a secondary degree of losses, where victims will require medical assistance. So to reduce that, we need to take care of the food supply and the hygiene of the food which has been provided to the victims. Where feeding programs are used by the kitchens, the sanitation is the utmost importance, so has to be taken care. So the personal hygiene should be monitored at an individual level, and involves in the food preparation. So depending on the various types of disaster, food supply and the cultural requirement also pertains to the supply of the food, which has to be taken in consideration of the the hygiene also. So the basic, then you have basic sanitation, personal hygiene regime that has to be performed by the evacuees, the evacuated persons. So many communicable disease spreads through fecal contamination of drinking water and food. So it is always advisable, one should not be doing disposing their biological waste near the water bodies, because they are eventually going to be part of your drinking water system. So hence every effort should be made to ensure the sanitary disposal of all criterias. Emergency toilets facility should be made available, whether they are you know destroyed completely or not. There should be an emergency toilet facilities that is to be provided at the victim areas that has been affected. Washing, cleaning, bathing facility should be provided to a displaced place, a person where you do not have nearby water bodies. uh, then you need to have vector control programs of vector-borne diseases should be intensified in case of emergency and rehabilitation period. So of specific concerns like dengue fever, malaria, leprosies, rat bite fever, plague. Then flood waters can amplify all these situations. Not only flood waters, but any other disasters can also amplify the outburst of vector-borne diseases and diseases related to uh, you know uh, uh, dead bodies and rotting waste materials. Now, we need to understand in rehabilitation, it is very crucial that a rehabilitation of critical facilities such as emergency services should be established as soon as possible, like water supply, power supply, medical supplies, and medical assistance. Then you need to have communication services. All has to be established, as they are one of the critical part of the of any settlements, right? So the critical facilities that are part of infrastructure that must remain operational for after a disaster. So all the facilities that poses unacceptable risk to public safety uh, if severe damages happen. So the critical services include schools, hospitals, fire stations, and police stations and emergency operation centers, communication centers, dams, industrial sites that are used to restore explosive or toxic materials or petroleum products. It is essential to critical these critical facilities have a non-structural weakness and can lead to further collapse or accidents that can come up. Okay, emergency services are organizational which ensures public safeties and addressing different emergencies situations. Some emergency exist solely for addressing certain type of emergency that would then uh, other deals with hawk emergency as a part of their normal responsibility. Many emergency will emerge in community awareness and prevention program to help the public avoid, detect, and report emergency effectively. The availability of emergency services depends very heavily on locations and may in some cases also rely on the recipient giving payment or holding up suitable insurance or other security receiving services to the community. The role of emergency services is that it responds to emergency large and small level. Medical emergency, fire, traffic lights, or traffic mm, uh, traffic police that forces to see whether which areas are needed to divert their logistics, right? So then rescue and excursion activities to be conducted will take assistance of traffic lights or traffic emergencies. Hazardous material incidences can should be contained as soon as possible. Severe weather and natural disasters warning system should be established through mass media communication. Man-made emergencies or terrorist attacks or war can be pre-hand be given as a warning. So the core emergency there are emergency services are like core emergency services like uh, medical, water, and sanitation. They are the core emergency services. Okay, other emergency services, civil emergency services. So we are going to take about core emergency services. There are three core emergency services: police, fire station, rescue services, and emergency medical supplies. So these three services, which are almost universally acknowledged as being the core to provisional of emergency care to the populace, and are often government run agencies. They would generally be summoned on a directed emergency telephone numbers, and reserve critical emergency calls are reserved for that services. Like police are the first line of action. Then you have fire and rescue services. Police providing community safety and acting to reduce the crime against the personals and properties of the victims. Fires and rescue services provides the firefighters to deal with fires, rescue operations, and may also deal with some secondary emergency services and duties. Then you have emergency medical services providing ambulance staff to deal with medical services, and paramedical service also are very beneficial at the time of these emergencies. Now, other emergency services are services that can provide that are provided by one of the core services or by separate government or private bodies like coast guard, lifeboats, mountain rescues, a mine rescue, a search and rescue operation team, that is NDRF in India, while forest fires suppression team, like those dealing with forest fires, bomb disposal teams, uh, blood banks or blood transplant organization, emergency management team. Then you have radio or communication centers are all other emergency services. Then civil emergency services, we have public utilities, right? Emergency road services, civilian traffic officers, then community emergency response team, famine relief team, poison control team, animal control team, and forest services that acts as a civil emergency service centers. Working together, the effective emergency service management requires agencies from different services to work. Okay, so effective emergency service management requires agencies from different services to work closely together and to have open line of communication. Okay, to avoid the effective, so to aid the effective communication, different services may share common practice and protocol for certain large scale emergencies such as incidences and command systems. Okay. uh, Risk includes including the in emergency response services are emergency response is an inherently dangerous occupation, and emergency responders faces a wide range of serious hazards in their job, so which place them in at a very high risk as an occupational injuries and deaths can happen. So their occupation is a high risk occupation into high risk injuries. The risk is mitigated by the using various forms of personal protection techniques, that is PPT, personal protective techniques. It can be through equipments, or it can be through training and a protocol that they are supposed to follow, like such as protective garments. So you need protective firefighters require proper uniform or dress that is fire resistant, respirators, protection, environmental monitoring, communication equipments, and practice and protocol that focuses on the safety of the individual. So individual, those who are emergency responders will work for the safe as an individual safety protocol. Now, examples of emergency service centers that can be adversely affected by the natural hazards are like civil defense installations, communication centers, emergency management centers, fire station, hospitals and other medical facilities, uh, mass emergency shelters, police stations and other installation of public securities are some of the emergency service centers that can have an adverse effect during disaster. So for first thing in in disaster management, for rehabilitation and response activities, these emergency centers should be protecting themselves first. So they should have a proper structural mitigation and preparedness policies, and non-structural mitigation and preparedness policies. Then they should have some protocols that has to be followed, some operating procedures, some guidelines that has to be followed strictly, so that they do not fall victims to the hazards that is pertaining in those areas. So, what is rehab? Then, in emergency services, rehabilitation or rehab describes the process of providing, rest, rehydration, nourishment, and medical evacuation to the responders who are involved in extended or extreme cases of scene of operations. Okay, so the victims who are stuck in an extreme event, uh, rehabilitation is like to provide them basic amenities like medical supplies, nourishment, water, hydration, like water, clean water to hydrate themselves, is the basic that has to be provided for rehabilitation. Note that the rehabilitation operation are not limited to emergency scene. Other, it is also a type of activities that might, that is necessity for rehabilitation. It includes, other events, like athletic events, parades, and reconstruction and repair of the buildings of these uh, areas can provide as a rehabilitating them into the normalcy. Training such hazardous material, training is very important. So training where you are dealing with handling with hazardous material like chemicals and biological materials which can have threat to human life and properties, should be handled only if the personals are trained, of the institutions are trained and equipped well. So new equipments and well training equipments are has to be implemented. Transportation of the vehicles is very important, like logistics to contain all these things. We need to have a proper establishment of logistics. Then improve the emergency responder services and safety. So we need to have an improve emergency responders, like the prompt the responders are like what is the time of arrival of various emergency services. Like in case you are calling 100 for police assistance, so what is the time that police assistance is coming to your doorstep? That is the responding time, right? And that if the better the responding, the shorter the responding time is, the more safety it is. So improving upon the emergency responding safeties are very important. Now improve upon emergency responders also has to be there. So emergency responders needs to effectively save time, have to reach in time to save lives and property. Okay. The advantages in technology is that the data management software, satellite capability like GPS, and the police vehicles, automated vehicle locator projects can be very beneficial in providing the assistance and getting the process of rehabilitation faster. Okay. So at the end, we will say that the functions of rehabilitation operation of the service responder, that is physical assessment, revitalization. That means you need to rehydrate, rest, is important for as an individual, and the community must settle down in a calmer manner. Then rehydrate means safe drinking water has to be there. Nourishment means safe food is there, supposed to be there. Medical evaluation and treatment has to be established, so proper medical services has to be given up. Continual monitoring of physical condition. Transportation of those who requires a higher medical treatment are required, like it can be not they can be transported aerially or through water, if it is a flooded area, so what boats can be taken up to transport the critically conditioned patient or victims to a safer area. Initial critical incident stress assessment and support. So then following the accepted guidelines for returning the emergency workers to the duty will aid in both returning fit workers to the duty, while the same time it will also keep the stress and injury among the responders, the service responders, are causing less risk and furthermore harm to themselves. So at the time of was giving assistance and service to the victims, there is a phenomena which is very common among the responders, are that the service givers or the caretakers are that they burn out. Now if you have prolonged hours of indulging these responders indulging into search and rescue and rehabilitation activities, they will eventually burn out. So it is also, there are guidelines to also take care that these responders do not get burnout, and furthermore add up to the number of victims in that scenario. So there are guidelines to prevent it, and it also needs to be addressed at the very first hand. Okay, so with this we have completed our rehabilitation uh, activities, and I would request all of you to go to your LMS and take the quiz.